Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along. Well, we flew through Cincinnati and we all got really happy. Grabbed a bowl of that Skyline chili along the way.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Those kids out here, they're never going to get old. They're out of shape because new ones come along every year. They're going to keep calling us cutters. For them, it's just a dirty word. Me, it's just something else I never got a chance to be.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you, as always, and joined by one of our favorites, Chuck Crabb, the voice behind the microphone at Indiana University. Chuck, how are you, sir?
Well, Jim, ready for a busy weekend after a great IU day here in Bloomington.
Absolutely, man. And explain a little bit about the IU Day. It was everywhere on social media yesterday. People from all over the world. I saw posts from everywhere, former students, alumni posting on there. But explain a little bit about IU Day.
That's something that the marketing group and the IU Foundation partnered and created a day where we can celebrate all of our great Cream and Crimson loyalty and remember what past was like and show how Indiana's making an impact on the Midwest, the world today.
Absolutely. And, man, they will certainly make an impact this weekend a lot of ways, but Little 500's coming up, and if people don't know about it,
well,
it was greatest college weekend, and I certainly remember it as being that way when I was in school.
Yeah, well, and it still is, Jim. You know, it was an event that was created by the late Howdy Wilcox as a way to involve students and help them gain a love of their alma mater so that once they graduated, they'd be able to continue that support. And so the bike race was an extension of what Howdy had seen. And I mean, his family, longtime relationship with Indianapolis Motor Speedway. His father, Howard Wilcox Sr., had been a part of it. And so they created the bike race, a relay setting of X number of laps around the old cinder track at the original Memorial Stadium, 200 laps. So many things that mirrored the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And it's now, this will be the 69th year for the men and the 32nd year for the women.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing to see, a spectacle. If you haven't seen the race, it's wild. It's four-man teams, 33 four-man teams, and they have to exchange alive during the race. And it's an endurance race. It's a race of speed and strength, and it's gritty. But if nothing can get you in the mood better than watching a great movie called Breaking Away. And Chuck, I remember watching that when I was young. It's still a great movie today. I love watching that. And now you had just started about then, is that right? I'm thinking time-wise.
Well, the year, yeah, that's right. The year it was filmed here in Bloomington, 1979, was the first race that I announced. I worked with Jim Pulowski, longtime marketing person with the Indianapolis Star News, and what was funny, Bert Laws, who had been my predecessor as the basketball football announcer, he called me one day and said, I'm in my early 70s. I think I'd like to step out of this, and why don't you just come and I'll sit with you? And somehow, Jim, he didn't show up at the race. I'm sitting there, and Don Weaver and Tom Swafford, who did the scoring and timing for so many years, they coached me through it. And so now I guess this will be, well, let's see, about 39 or 40 for me. we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the filming of Breaking Away, and it debuted in 1980 when we moved into Armstrong Stadium. So, it's been a wonderful time out on North Fee Lane. And, you talked about the endurance and the strength, but the strategies that get involved in this race, it's an unbelievable chess game, a mastery that a team like the Cutters, an independent team of all things, they've mastered it superbly. And now, 13 big titles, I want to say, somewhere along in there. It's been a tremendous run for whatever combination makes up a team called the Cutters.
And not getting deeply into them because I'm not following from a team standpoint either, but a lot of teams come from fraternities, or if it's girls race sororities, but organizations like that on campus. But there are independents, like you mentioned as well. How difficult? Why is it more difficult for, say, like independent, like the Cutters, than for a team from the Greek system at IU campus?
Well, it's the largest intramural bike race in the country. And when you have an organized housing unit, 125 men living together, or the 100 women in a sorority, a lot of the bonding, the camaraderie, the alumni support, there's a little bit different funding mechanism there. It's not a case of just going out and riding 20 miles, 30 miles in the hills of southern Indiana to get ready for the bike race. There's a whole regimen of training that gets established. There's been a lot of counseling with dietitians and nutritionists. I guess you would say a lot of times where the money is, there's a tremendous support value, but I can't quite explain for you the fact, other than the great heritage that's happened with the Cutters, that 4 guys who got together, they've got a great strategy and they get after it. They train, they practice. Some teams stay here in Bloomington during spring break. Others, even at Christmas time, may end up in Florida, Arizona, out in the mountains. They'll apply a high altitude training, just like distance runners getting ready for the Olympics will try and do anymore.
Absolutely. If you go back, fans will go back and watch the movie Breaking Away, they get a sense of that the team that would win that in the race was a local team. It was just an awesome. Dennis Quaid was in that movie. It's a great movie. It shows a lot of scenes around Bloomington. Very cool. And especially when you see the scenes from the football stadium, Memorial Stadium, it's so wild seeing that back then with both ends open and seeing all those pictures, man. And then you run all those facilities. What is it like for you, Chuck, to see all these facilities change over the years? You've been here all this time. You've overseen this growth, and like the football stadium, the metamorphosis has been amazing.
Well, it has been, Jim. We were so full of pride back in 1971 where Assembly Hall opened. It was my time as an undergrad. We thought the world was ours because we'd completed this master plan of a new football stadium, a field house, Assembly Hall, the addition and the hyper building. And really, I mean, the last 10 years 11 years with Fred Glass as our athletics director has been just, as you say, transformational in what that's allowed us to do. Things change and you need to keep up with it. And we've been very fortunate with alumni that have and friends that have supported us for the monies to do the building. When you look at the renovation, the South Lobby Assembly Hall, the north and south ends of the football stadium, Wilkinson Hall now online. The trustees last week unanimously approved a renovation of Armstrong Stadium, allowing us to consolidate men's and women's soccer for their offices and practice area, all in that venue. The new renovation, well, I should say more the total reconstruction of the IU Championship golf course that, boy, when people see it, Jim, they're just going to be amazed by that golf course. There'll be 8 tee boxes on the 18 holes. You could play anywhere from 3,300 yards to nearly 8,500 yards on that course, and it's just been amazing to see. It really has.
Yeah, Fuzzy Zeller's involved with the redesign of that, I believe. And what's the timeline on that course reopening?
Well, we're still watching that closely. The contractor worked into December last year. If you can imagine laying sod and trying to water on December 5th last year, but we still were. We'll just evaluate it here during the summer. I'm sure there'll be some public announcements shortly about that. Don't want to tip my hand on anything. You have to understand, you're talking to probably the one non-golfing member of the IU Athletic Administration. So I just want them to have a good grass growth in there and a place that will stand the test, because there's a pent-up demand from what everyone has seen and heard as they've driven along the bypass, and a lot of great improvements that have been made. And we just want it to be right before we turn it loose to the general public.
Talking with Chuck Crabb behind the microphone at Indiana for over 40 years. Men's basketball, of course, several things. Track, your Big Ten does the Big Ten championships for track, and several other things as well. The little 500 we were speaking of, and getting back to the little 500. Talk about the pageantry, because there's a lot of that at the beginning of the race and throughout the race. It's just such an iconic thing. It's just pictures don't even do it justice, but they do serve it well.
Well, as I said earlier, so many things came from the Motor Speedway with what we do. We'll have the Corvette pace car from the Speedway that will lead the race. There's always a balloon release as the student. I don't know if I want to call them survivors, Jim, but the renamed group from Straight No Chaser, the undergrads, they sing Back Home Again in Indiana, much like Jim Neighbors or Jim Cornelison would do. There's just a flyover. We've had flyovers. We have parachutists that come out and bring the checkered flag, the state of Indiana, and the national flag into the stadium. We have the parade lap, the pace lap, and then the green flag drop and the flying start. The 11 rows of 33, or as I guess it will be this year, 10 rows of 3 and 1 row of 2. In both the men and the women, but it's just so outstanding. The checkered flags are everywhere. A lot of cream and crimson. I'm sure I'm going to see a bunch of Crimson Guard T-shirts, and some corners I might think it's a basketball game with all that Crimson Guard garb that we'll be seeing Friday and Saturday. So the women's race at 4:00 on Friday, the men's race 2:00 on Saturday, and we hope the weather allows to get both races in at the scheduled times. And otherwise, Chuck just sits in an announcing booth working with good friend Chris Michaels from here in Bloomington, and we wait it out and bring the action and color and pageantry to the fans in the stadium when it all unfolds.
And they bring in extra seating to Armstrong Stadium for this thing, because it is big. And I'm trying to remember, but does it not attract like over 35,000 people?
Well, we've been up there. I mean, Bill Armstrong Stadium, when it opened in 1980, we had the ability with temporary bleachers to surround the track, and 25 to 28,000 was very common during the early years that we were at Armstrong. Much like any other student event, Jim, and tradition, a lot of things change and adjust. Interest change. They'll have permanent and bleacher added seats for a little over 10,000, and it's a very lively and colorful crowd. I guarantee you that. The women's race, if nobody's ever seen it, let me say this: the women's race is it's 100 laps. That's a 1-hour event, and it's great racing. I almost like the women's race more because so many things have to happen during those 100 laps, 60-minute run, that the men's race is a little over 2 hours. people anymore, Jim, they get a little impatient. If they, if they stay for the entire men's race, it's great. But there's some lulls in the middle of it. I have to be honest about that. And the Student Foundation does a great job trying to entertain people during those moments, the lulls. There's music, there's different announcements, groups that are featured, just trying to, again, stimulate the great interest in our beloved alma mater here in Bloomington.
Looking forward to it, Chuck. I can't wait looking for it. Then you got the football game after the women's race Friday night, too. So much going on this weekend.
We give people a full package, the Cream and Crimson football game in Memorial Stadium at 7 p.m., softball's in town with 3 Big Ten games against Maryland Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Baseball returns to Bart Kaufman on Saturday with a doubleheader against Evansville, and they hope to put a 9-inning single game in on Sunday, and men's tennis at home on Saturday and Sunday. So check IUHoosiers.com, or Jim, I know you'll be giving us good plugs through Friday on your show. So people come out and enjoy a great time in Monroe County.
Absolutely looking forward to it. Chuck Crabb, I can never thank you enough. We greatly appreciate you having you on here.
Our pleasure, Jim. We'll look forward to running into you here in the next couple of days.
Thank you, sir. Chuck Crabb from Indiana University with us. As always, we appreciate him dearly. Coming up next with us here from CNHI Newspapers, Kevin Brockway, the IU beat writer. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat back right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sillersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back into Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here on this Friday. Man, the weather is taking a turn. Lots to get to. Joined now by our good friend Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. Sammy, how you doing, friend?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, sir. Heading toward the big Cream and Crimson game tonight as spring practice for Indiana's football is coming to a close. Hopefully the weather will hold off. I think the rain is supposed to move out. Had some issues last year. They moved it inside, but this year I haven't heard any talk about that because I think the rain that is coming is going to dissipate, hopefully. But tonight's spring game at 7 o'clock. Not going to get a lot done because they don't have a lot of quarterbacks, Sammy, but what can they do with the situation they have?
Well, Tom Allen went over the format yesterday. It's going to be offense versus defense. Peyton Ramsey is going to get most of the quarterback reps in the live periods. They're going to do some 7-on-7 in between quarters to get Michael Penix in there and get him as many reps as possible. Now they're not going to go and tackle Penix coming off of knee surgery, but there's a lot you could do even with one quarterback. Then you have to hold your breath a little bit and make sure that, the live periods go pretty well. But offense versus defense, you give people lots of reps. And, holding some of these guys out because they're banged up is kind of a blessing in disguise. You get some important reps for young guys who need those repetitions.
Absolutely. The quarterback is an area that a lot of us were looking forward to seeing, but Michael Penix obviously is still recovering from his knee injury. You alluded to it, but he will be able to participate in this. They've got it set up where he can throw, and they shut it off before anybody gets to him or he is forced to run. Jack Tuttle, of course, cleared, and he's healthy. He's just sick from what I have been told, and I don't know. I have not heard anything further on that, but not the game again for the second year in a row that they wanted, but I think they've had a pretty good spring practice at least for everybody, and they seem to be happy with how things are going.
Yeah, and people put too much stock in the spring game. It's practice 15, and the spring game it's fun. There's fun things to do and fun things to see. But it's still practice 15, and it's still, a scrimmage. And, you look around the country, I think TCU canceled their spring game because of injuries. And, Purdue did an offensive defensive thing as well. Elijah Sindelar and their top two quarterbacks, were dinged up as well. So, it's going in, it's always like a fun end to spring practice, but going in, it's still practice 15, and it's still a scrimmage. And you really don't, you can't base everything off the spring game.
And you've been around the program for a while. How does this spring compare to those of last as far as the feeling coming out of it? Because they seem like, or at least to me, that a lot has been gotten done, and Tom Allen seems to be pretty happy with his spring this year.
I think just the energy around spring practice, it's a little bit different. The defense is flying around, and the offense is installing something new, and it's exciting. And while the defense is clearly won spring practice on the energy level and play on the field, but you could see that later in spring practice that the offense has been counterpunching and getting their licks in, whereas in other spring practices, and if you've ever played football, the practices where there's no real game day leading up to it are kind of monotonous and boring, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But that's there's just a little bit more buzz this year around practice.
Yeah, and new offensive coordinator Kalen DeBoer has come in and really seemed to jump right in. I know they're changing. There's a lot to change when you bring in a new offensive coordinator. A lot of terminology, a lot of language. A lot of the plays are similar, but still there's a lot of change, a lot of things that a lot of people have to learn. How difficult has it been to get that done with I know Michael Penix has been able to participate, and Jack Tuttle has for the most part as well. So it seems like they've been able to get around Penix's injury and really incorporate him into this new offense.
Yeah, before Tuttle went out with his illness, all three guys were participating for I would say about the majority of most practices, where Penix is doing 7-on-7 things and individual drills, and the only thing he was held out of at the practices that I saw were team drills that he could, if something went wrong, he could take a shot to the lower half of his body, and they didn't want to risk it. But it's getting all three of those guys reps, and there's been talk that Penix has had a lot of mental reps, and whenever they've done scrimmage work, Coach DeBoer has him on the headset, and they talked about that. It's that he's getting a lot of mental reps on the sideline while the other quarterbacks are getting, the physical reps, and that has seemed to help him as well. The transition to the new offense seems to be going pretty smoothly, but some of the older guys, Grant Hurt said this in an interview, some of the older guys, this is their third offensive system they're learning, and, some things blend together, and when you talk about terminology and verbiage, somebody, Kevin Johns could call one route, steak, and Mike DeBoer called it apples, and Kalen DeBoer calls it oranges, but it's all the same thing. It's just remembering that this is called this now. And that, we've all been places where that can get a little bit, confusing.
And it has to be but a welcoming sign for Kalen DeBoer when he comes in to see that actually a lot of places, but the quarterback room is just stocked. You've got Peyton Ramsey, who has got 2 years of solid experience, and he's got two young quarterbacks who have a ton of promise, and both kind of bring different things to the table. And it's going to be a challenging quarterback room, and it's going to be a challenging duel for them to name a starter this fall. It's going to be the best of times, but it's a hard decision for them, but it's the best position that Indiana has been in as far as quarterback, at least since 2012 when they had Nate Sudfeld and he was a freshman in that group. But this may be even better than that group. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out. But this could go back a long time since they've had this good of a quarterback room at Indiana.
Yeah, it goes back to 2013 when they had Roberson, Kaufman, and Sudfeld. But it is a good quarterback room. You have two guys who could really sling the ball, and then Peyton Ramsey, who's got command of the offense, and they trust him. And if Peyton Ramsey ends up being the third string quarterback, that's a guy who's started around 15, 16 games in the Big Ten, has won a handful of games, has played in those big environments, has put up some numbers in those environments where you feel pretty comfortable that, hey, we're going to go, we're going to go to battle with these three guys.
Yeah, it's not just quarterbacks. I mean, Kalen DeBoer has got to be extremely happy because it's not just a great quarterback room. He's got a wealth of not just good receivers, but good experienced receivers and running backs.
Yeah, you get Nick Westbrook back, Donovan Hale's back, Ty Freifogel, who broke out last year, he's back. Stevie Scott. Now, the running back room is a little bit younger with Stevie Scott and Ronnie Walker, but it's super talented, and you're bringing in more talent when in June with Ivory Winters. But the running back room is really, really solid. Probably the best that IU has seen in quite some time. Probably since they had Tevin Coleman and Stephen Houston and D'Angelo Roberts. And then wide receiver Donovan Hale looks a lot smoother. And Coach Hurd has said that's been due to he shed some weight. He's lighter on his feet. There's not as much pounding. He's healthy. And that was one of the big things I took away from spring practice was just he looks smoother and quicker. And for a guy who's 6'4" and he's got a thick frame and could go up and get the ball, to add a little bit more speed to that makes him dangerous. Nick Westbrook is, he's looking to cap off a great IU career with the big season. Wap, who's coming off an injury, is back too, and he's a junior. Although he hasn't played as many games as some of these other guys, but he's still been in the program for 3 years. And you're right, they do have a lot of experience and talent at those positions. And then you have some young guys like Miles Marshall and Jacoby Hewitt who could come in and they're talented but don't really have as much experience and can lean on some of these older experienced guys to get them to where they need to be.
Talking to our good friend Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. And with all of that, those positives, which are all good positives, Kalen DeBoer's got a bunch of pieces on offense. But with this being the third year now, there's going to be and with them having all that talent, there's going to be a lot more pressure this year to perform for Tom Allen, not so much Kalen DeBoer, but for Tom Allen as a whole, because they do have these apparent great pieces in place. And this is the third season, and it's time. I think a lot of people want to see some progress now.
Well, people also have to look at the schedule.
And that's what I bring up next.
On paper, this team could be a lot better, but you look at the schedule now. The non-conference schedule should be 3 wins, and then you play Rutgers. That should be a 4th. But you're switching out Iowa and Minnesota for Northwestern at home and on the road at Nebraska out of the West. And then you get Michigan, Ohio State at home, and you play the East. It is a very, very difficult schedule. And while the team might be better on paper and they might perform better, the outcome could still be, it might be hard pressed to get 6 wins. And that's, where people need to take a step back and realize, hey, for Indiana football, sometimes the stars have to align, and this is one of the years where you have a solid team on paper, and you just don't have the schedule. And playing the stupid 9-game schedule, this is one of the drawbacks. Instead of playing another cupcake in the non-conference schedule, you're playing Northwestern or Nebraska out of the West as your third draw out of the West, and that it takes a short win off the table and puts a game that is either a heavy lean towards Nebraska or a 50-50 game at home against Northwestern.
Yeah, this last year the schedule was a lot lighter, but as you said, it's going to be a very difficult road this year. Going to Nebraska is going to be a difficulty, but it may be an opportunity for Indiana to get an upset right now, because Scott Frost obviously still early in his tenure implementing things over there, and maybe they can pull the surprise and pull an upset win there. That would maybe give this program a jolt it hasn't seen in quite some time.
Yeah, there's definitely chances on the table to pull one of those upsets. Northwestern's been a very good team over the last 5 years. You get them at home and beating them at home. While it's not a brand name, you're still beating a very solid program that IU's had difficulty beating over the last 20, 25 years. You play Michigan State and Penn State. You go on the road to those teams that have their flaws. You kind of wish the schedule was reversed, and you get last year's schedule where you play those teams at home, and you have a little bit more of a chance. Ohio State and Michigan are both coming back, and they're both going to be again at the top of the East. And then you have to travel up to Purdue, and that's a game it's turning into a must-win. You got to at some point knock off Purdue while Jeff Brom is there again.
Yeah, I agree. But this is going to be a difficult year to do that. They are going to be loaded offensively, man. They've got a lot. Obviously, they picked up some great pieces to go along with the ones that they already had. Jeff Brom has certainly got some loaded weapons up in West Lafayette.
Yeah, he still has to rebuild that offensive line, and they have to hope that Sindelar stays healthy and figure out their running back situation. But you're right, they do bring in a whole bunch of 4-star recruits. I think they bring in a couple of them with David Bell as your headliner.
And they still have Rondale Moore, of course.
Yeah, but they still have things to figure out. If you can't block for the quarterback, you can't get these playmakers the ball, and I knew IU fans know that as well too, and that's what IU needs to do as well. Is you talk about all these skill positions. If you can't block for whoever's at quarterback, you can't get the ball out of your hand to the quarterback. You can't get the ball to these skill players, and you can't make plays, and that's the frustrating part. So I think going in, IU's offensive line has looked, at least the first team offensive line has looked really solid. They have some veteran guys who are now peaking in terms of talent, and what's been, I don't want to say it's nice that people have been nicked up in practice, but one of the benefits that you hold some of these veteran guys out since they've been here for 4 or 5 years is that these young offensive linemen are getting these important reps in situations that they normally don't get reps in, and it's accelerating their growth.
Absolutely. And tonight, the spring game, 7 p.m. at Memorial Stadium. They've got some things earlier in the day, Sammy, that they're doing some clinics. Going to have some kids, if you're available, kids can go out there, and they have some clinic things that they'll be doing on the field. Yeah,
I think they have their kid clinic, which is like a non-contact thing, and you get to work with the IU coaches and players and things like that. I believe that's from 5 to 6, and that's always a fun event. Now, hopefully this rain moves out of here. I think it's forecasted to. And then there's some free food. We'll have all the details. I'll put it up in our game primer later this morning. But there's free food from 5 to 7, free parking. They'll have, all sorts of stuff. And then after the game, you could go down on the field and get autographs from players. So it's, the spring game, while it's still practice 15, it's a pretty cool thing to go to, especially when the weather is going to be, pretty decent. To go down, explore the stadium, take your family. If you don't normally get to go to IU football games, take your family, enjoy the Friday, enjoy going on the field and experience some things you don't normally get to experience.
Absolutely. You had me at free food, man. I'm telling you, I can't wait. Should be a fun night for everybody. Look forward to it. Also, you got the Little 500 going on before that for the women. I think their race is at 4:00 this afternoon. But Sammy, thank you so much. Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thanks, Jim. See you down there.
You bet. Have a great day. Sammy Jacobs, HoosierHuddle.com. Make sure you check out the free football content there. We've got a lot more coming up on the program. Todd Leary's with us today, as always, on this Friday. We're going to talk to Drew Davis in the next hour as well, talk a little bit about recruiting. Lots to get to. I hope your day is off to a good start. If not, we're going to get it headed in that direction. Jim Coyle will be back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, saying get back together, come
Welcome
back
back to
and
Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you as always. I have crew chief Box. We got Justin Kalen.
That's right.
Dresser along, keeping us spinning along as well. Hope your day's going well. Off to a good start. If not, we're going to get it headed in that direction. A lot to get to. Todd Leary's on the show today. Drew Davis will be joining us as well. Just finished up talking to Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle. Indiana's got their Cream and Crimson spring game tonight, 7 o'clock at Memorial Stadium. The rain is supposed to move out, so it should be an okay evening. I know Little 5 kicks off today at 4 with the women's race, and there is the kids clinic at Memorial Stadium at 5 to 6 today as well. But yesterday, Tom Allen met with the media, talked about the spring game and the health of his team, and a lot of offensive guys that may not be able to play tonight. So it's going to change some things around. But let's hear what Coach Allen had to say.
Yeah, I think Coy and Simon, is a guy, and Stevie. Now Stevie's probably going to be participating in 7-on-7s, but just those two linemen, we've seen what we need to see with those guys, and we got a lot of young guys we need to get a lot of good reps at. So those would be the guys to notice there.
Everybody else healthy, pretty much.
Yeah,
coming out of spring now.
There'll be, there's always a few guys nicks here and there, but overall, we've had the, typical guy. Alan Stallings hasn't been practicing, and he's been out there every day, work hard, being able to get him healthy, and Gavin Everett, other when he had labrum surgery, and so he's going to be fine long term coming back from that. So, but Thomas Allen had a little surgery as well, so he'll be out. But the guys will all be full bore this summer and have a chance to really be well prepared. So you always have guys in that. So you'll just see the ones that haven't been practicing, so aren't going to be going. There's not going to be anybody that hasn't been going that's going to all of a sudden just start going for the spring game.
I was just watching you on BTN, and you mentioned Madison Norris and Matthew Bedford as young guys who popped for you. Maybe elaborate on that a little bit, including some veterans or some returnees who popped for you a little bit this spring.
Yeah, mentioning Madison, he's a guy that, came here, and I think he weighed 189 pounds when he got here, coming off winning the state championship in track and all that running from that spring. And so it's just been a slow process to get him to gain good weight. And so
all right, Coach Tom Allen, Indiana football, talking about the guys nicked up, may not be around tonight for the spring game, 7 o'clock at Memorial Stadium. But it's a spring game. You're not going. Back in the day, it didn't seem like that was affected as much. But everything's now specialized, and the injuries seem to come a lot easier. So a lot of guys get held out. But it should be still. They'll do a lot of fun things. Like I said, they've got the kids clinic before that, so that's going to be a great time for those kids to get out there on the field and actually work with the coaches. That's a cool thing for them. And then Michael Penix, he'll be able to participate tonight in that spring game. Like I said, I've seen him in practice several times. They just blow the play dead early if the linemen get in there. You're not allowed to touch him. He's not running, but he'll be able to throw the ball. So you'll be able to see that, and I wouldn't be surprised if you at least once or twice see him call a play that calls for him to unleash that monster, letting him throw that ball downfield, let him eat.
He's got a hurt knee, not a hurt arm. Let it fly.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. He's I bet you even with that knee, he can let that thing crank, and we'll see tonight if he gets the opportunity. Hopefully he will. Look forward to seeing that. Bloomington is going to be bumping this weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Man, they got a lot going on the campus of Indiana University. It's not just a football game. Tonight they start a 4-game series with Evansville in baseball. Evansville, a top 30 RPI team. They've got 4 games. They got a doubleheader tomorrow. They're going to
Is the game tonight in Evansville? I was looking at the schedule, and the game tonight said at Evansville and then the other 3 in Bloomington.
I believe that is correct.
That's interesting scheduling.
Well, it is. It very much is. And that lends itself to a 4-game series, too, which is kind of odd, especially during – once now the conference play has started, but I guess you get them in how you get them in, but not a bad deal. At least it's not too far away for them to go and come back. But also, I guess because there is so much going on the IU campus with the football game tonight. You've got Little 5 that has started. The softball team may be, are they in town?
They are in town. Yep.
See, they're in town as well. So you got a lot going on at that athletic complex. Thank goodness Armstrong Stadium is at least a little bit separated from the rest of that, but it's basically just across the street to the east of say Gladstein Center in front of Wilkinson Hall and all that. But there's a ton going on. And man, it's just a lot to choose from. If you want, at least you got that going for you.
You've got options this weekend, no doubt.
You definitely have options. The rain will hopefully get away. It's going to be mostly in the AM with some gusts, man. So hopefully that'll dissipate and won't affect anything. Any plans, whether you're going to any of these events or just having a weekend plan for yourself, hopefully it gets out of here. But it was nice, certainly nice for the last couple of days, man. It was cool to be to see that. The Masters is underway. A lot of guys that are close at the top. I mean, you can't separate, whether like 20 guys within a stroke of each other.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the top two, yeah, there's a lot of guys in contention that could come out. You have a good day today, and that could change a lot of things in your Masters approach. I mean, there's guys that are +1 today. Justin Thomas was +1. He comes out and shoots 3-4 under today. All of a sudden, he's in it. I love the Masters. It's such an exciting tournament. You never know what's going to happen. But it's such a tough course to play. And Tiger's playing well, and that always helps when Tiger plays well.
It certainly helps for TV ratings. You know, we talked about they have the par 3 tournament on Wednesday, and up at the golf club at Eagle Point, of course, we're coming to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. They had a par 3 tournament Wednesday as well, mimicking the Masters I was able to play in. And then it's even cooler after that. They draw you after the cut at the Masters. They draw you a partner to pair you with that is in the Masters. And your two scores will now combine to see who will win, if you win or not. Unfortunately, this is not one of those courses where they're going to shoot 25 under, which I would desperately need to help us have any chance at winning to overcome my challenged day, let's say. So, yeah, I don't think it matters if I could draw Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, and Tiger Woods. And if they were all in a negative, it still wouldn't be enough.
Well, since we're on the subject and you brought it up yesterday that if you shot a 5 under and you got a 6 under, you'd be 11 under. So what did you actually shoot?
It's funny. I don't remember.
Well, you better hope they draw you Bryson DeChambeau.
No, I think it was a bogey day. It was bogey golf day.
9 over? That ain't bad.
Yeah, it is for a par 3.
True.
But first day of the year, I'm cool with it. I'll take it. Greens are a little slow. Kind of needed a shotgun at times to get it there, but oh well, that's just a cool thing, man. Looking forward to it. But the Masters is always something fun, and with those guys all lumped together, makes it a lot more enjoyable. You have a lot of battles, and then like you said, Tiger Woods is in the hunt. Man, that changes things for people. They just love that. But the Masters will be going on a weekend. And speaking of all weekend, man, there's all kinds of stuff going on that if you're looking for something to do up on the campus of Indiana University, the spring football game is Friday night. Little 500 begins as well with the women's race at 4 o'clock at Armstrong Stadium. And then the men will race tomorrow. The weather is supposed to be good, clear tomorrow. So that should be a spectacular day, billed as the world's greatest college weekend. So we'll see all of that and what that entails. Man, we got a great show today. Todd Leary is with us. We're going to get to talk to Todd as always. Look forward to that. I saw they talked to Todd in the Indianapolis Star yesterday about the fascination with everybody in Bob Knight. So I look forward to talking to Todd about that. Drew Davis is going to join us as well from Pigs.com. We're going to talk some recruiting, man. Indiana's got to land some guys, and I got on the social media thing last night with somebody that were talking about Luis Quinones, and I said he's going to be a hard get, man. He's still going to be a hard get because these other teams are going for him, and this is a guy. He's not a one and done, but he wants to be in the league, so that's where he wants to head towards. Archie Miller has not put anybody in the NBA yet. And I think that's going to be something they look at, especially when Penny Hardaway's down there at Memphis. But we'll get to all that and more in the next hour. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's coming back right after this.
It's been 3 days since the afternoon. You realize it's not my fault, but I'm only too soon. Yesterday you'd forgiven me, and now I'll sit back and wait till you say you're sorry.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little might come along.
Welcome along, Indiana Sports Beat here on this Friday. Thanks a lot for joining us, taking us along wherever you're going, wherever you're headed. Appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Jim Coyle with you as always. Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right.
And our old buddy Jake Drescher keeping things spinning around as well. Hope your day's off to a good start. If not, we're going to get it headed in that right direction. Todd Leary is on the show today. Look forward to talking to Todd. Drew Davis, Pigs.com. We got some recruiting stuff we got to talk about, man. Indiana's got to land some guys. So plenty to talk about there. A little 5 this weekend, spring game night, lots to talk about. Let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your daily Hoosier headlines for this 12th day of April 2019. As Jim said, busy weekend around Indiana University starting tonight as the women's Little 500 is today at 4 o'clock. The men's race will be tomorrow at 2. Spring football also plays their spring game tonight at 7. Indiana baseball in action as they get set for a 4-game series with Evansville at first game tonight at Evansville. The next 3 will be in Bloomington, 2 tomorrow, 1 on Sunday. Indiana softball will also be in Bloomington this weekend as they welcome in Maryland for a 3-game series. And Indiana basketball recruit Lester Quinones reschedules his visit for April 24th through the 26th. Those are a look at your daily Hoosier headlines on this 12th day of April 2019. For more information, be sure to check out thedailyhoosier.com.
Who is that? That Indiana recruit? Who is that?
Quinones. Quinones. Gosh dang it, Jim. I had it during the break, and now I can't say it.
Who is it?
Quinones. There you go. Quinones. Lester Quinones.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about now. Oh, okay.
Quinones.
Wow. Practiced. You practiced that during the break, man.
I flubbed it.
And you just went on like it was perfect.
That's what I'm supposed to do, right?
I guess.
Quinones.
That won't get by though, yeah.
If let's say this, if they land him, I'll get it right every time, I promise.
Well, I hope so. Don Fisher will be teaching you how to say it.
Quinones.
He is definitely somebody we'll be talking about with Drew Davis today. That's a hot recruit right now. He's a great shooter, being recruited by a lot of different people. Ohio State, all the big names, Memphis, Ohio State, Indiana, of course, LSU, which LSU does not seem to be a competition anymore. But it's going to be a tough get. Like I said earlier, there's a guy that said something on social media that I was responding to. That Quinones is going to be a tough get because he's not a one and done. Well, I don't see him as a one and done, but he wants to get to the league. That's his goal. Whether that's 2 years or even 3 years, maybe. But the thing is that he's going to be, when he's deciding on a college, that's a big part of what he's looking at. And I think that some of those kids, especially like one like Lester Quinones, he's not an Indiana kid. He's not in state. He's not from within the borders. So there's not that relationship there. There's not that desire to play for Indiana. This kid's getting recruited by all the bigs. And you look at the fact that, to my knowledge, I don't think Archie's ever put a player in the NBA yet. And
yet.
Of course, he spent his entire time at Dayton, but that's 7 years. And now he's been at Indiana for 2 more years. We're looking now bumping up against a decade. Nobody in the league, man. These players look at that. I'm telling you, they look at that. And he will have one in the league here shortly, but that's basically, I don't know that really counts, but it will be his first at least. But
well,
I think that they look at that, and then the guy that was responding said, "Well, how many has Penny Hardaway put in the league?" Well, let's see. He's been coaching for 1 whole year. A, B, he was a 2-time All-American and a 4-time NBA All-Star. You think that doesn't carry weight with these players? Yeah, it does. The dude was in the league, so they're going to think that he knows exactly what it takes to get to the league. Just my opinion on what they're looking at.
At the same time, on the flip side of that, a kid could also look at Indiana and look at Romeo, for example, and think, well, all I got to do is go in and average 17.5 points a game, and I'm there. I mean, it's if you go to Indiana, the name's always going to be there.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If Romeo had gone any place else, and I don't care if it's Stony Brook, You think he is not going to the NBA all of a sudden? He was already a top draft pick before he got to Indiana. So that does not. Yes, if you're already there, of course. But he's not. He's not a one and done. He's a player that's going to need to be developed a little bit. And that's my point. You look and there's nothing in the cupboard as far as that. And I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just pointing out the information that is accurate. Nobody has gone. And I truly believe that they obviously look at that stuff. Again, and the fact that he's not an in-state player, that he's somebody from outside, not in the, used to hearing about the culture of Indiana or any of that. So he's not going to be swayed by that. So I just, in my opinion, that's one of the things that's on their minds. Hit us up on the text line. What are your thoughts? 812-269-6367. Let us know. Coming to you, of course, here on the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday. Todd Leary will be joining us. Drew Davis as well. Let us know what your thoughts are on that text line. Like or follow us on Facebook. You can catch us live each day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m., of course, on the dailyhoosier.com, indianasportsbeat.com, or the grillingtruth.net. But yeah, man, I just think that that's a thing that matters. And Romeo will be the first player for Archie to go to the NBA. Not sure that people are going to – he's not – it's not – he didn't have the most successful collegiate career, so he's not exactly a poster child for that, I don't think.
Yeah, and you're probably right in that. Now, let me ask you this. What if Juwan Morgan sneaks into the second round as well? Does that change your opinion at all?
And before I go too far, when I say he didn't have a successful collegiate career, he was the third scoring freshman in the history of Indiana University basketball. Don't take that the wrong way. What I meant was they didn't have a lot of team success. And obviously things went awry with a 12-game losing streak. So that's what I was talking about in that. And to answer your question, I don't see Juwan Morgan getting in the second round. I don't see that happening. If it does, nice. That'd be great for him. I hope it does. But I just don't. There wasn't no NBA talk about him last year. I have heard zero NBA talk about him this year. Have I missed it? Because I have not seen.
No, I mean it's true. I mean there's always a chance, but I'm with you. I don't think he does get drafted. But I just wanted to bring up the hypothetical.
And great player Juwan Morgan was for Indiana, but I don't. When he doesn't get drafted, and if he doesn't get drafted, I think people need to understand that's the level of talent that this team actually had. Doesn't mean he wasn't a good player. Of course he was. But not at that upper level. Indiana does not have upper level talent. Romeo, he's a project. He's an NBA project. He's not going to go in and start playing for somebody. He's a project because they see he has potential that they think the NBA believes they can develop. But there's not, this team was not loaded with ready-made, let's go win big talent. And people that don't understand that, I don't know how to make it any more clear, and it wasn't just that. Now you add to the fact that they didn't play as a team this year. And you see some roster changes going on right now. 9 new faces will be wearing Indiana uniforms next year. You talk about a reboot. It's going to be one. And part of that is trying to get the changeover to happen as soon as possible, because Archie's going into his 3rd season, which is kind of odd that now going into your 3rd season is when you're going to have the purge. But he was hamstrung last year. He was handcuffed. They couldn't have transfers last year because Tom Crean left them in such horrible shape from an APR standpoint that even though they didn't make the tournament last year, it wouldn't have had one person transferred. It wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have been allowed to play because of the APR ding.
Yeah, and all this talk we've had over the past year or so about Archie not having his guys, the roster transformation is going to give him an opportunity to get some guys in, his guys, the guys he sees fit for his offense, his defense. Will he still have a few Tom Crean hangovers? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But it's going to be mostly Archie's team, and I think that's going to benefit this team greatly. We won't be able to say it anymore.
Of course, but until they get there, they're doing the same thing they have been. But with the roster, almost a roster overhaul, they will be past that point. And if they can get Jerome Hunter back, if they can get a Joey Brunk, and if they can land a shooter, they've got some nice pieces. And I think that they're going to be a better team next year. And hint on the word team, because they did not play like a team this year. There were moments where it was just fractured, and you could just see it. Of course, during the course of a 12-game losing streak, a lot of things were going wrong, but there were issues with that team. And there's always rumors, and some of those rumors are just absolutely incredibly crazy. And you know what? The thing about those rumors that really aggravates me is when you see people posting this crap on social media that has no clue as to whether there's truth to anything, but yet, hey, here's this thing here I saw. Let me post it because I don't know if it's true. Let's talk about it. Why are you posting something, period, that you don't know is true or not? Why? You're to me, when people do that, they are no different than anybody else that is creating a post of falsities, of falsehoods. There's no difference. You're participating in that. It's crazy, but people just want attention, I think. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but some of the stuff I see on social media, I'm like, there should be a license, and yours should be revoked. Hey, we got a lot coming up on the show today. Todd Leary is going to join us. Drew Davis from Peaks.com. We're going to talk some recruiting next. Stay tuned. We're back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
What would you think if I sang out a tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me?
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beats. Friday. Hope your day's going well. Got Drew Davis from Pigs.com with us now. Drew, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Good. Lots going on this weekend, man, but a lot to talk about on the recruiting front as well for Indiana. Of course, Lester Quinones rescheduled his visit. He'll be coming at the end of April to visit Indiana, so that's positive. I know people got a little nervous when he rescheduled, even though he seemed to go out of his way to say, chill, y'all, I'm just going to reschedule this. But people still went nuts anyway, just because they just I think people just like to go nuts.
I know there's a huge fuss made about his, visit getting canceled. People seem to be, need to be talked off the ledge for whatever reason. And, Lester said that he had a family issue come up, and, it wasn't like he just didn't want to come. He just had something come up and wasn't able to make it this weekend. So he rescheduled for I believe the weekend of the 26th and 27th. And he'll come to campus then and take an official visit to Indiana.
Yeah, I remember when I saw him post about hey, I got to cancel to reschedule. We got something going on. And I never thought another thing about it because usually when there's a cancellation, you say, hey, I got to it's just canceled. They don't give reasons, whatever. But he obviously went out of his way to say, hey, man, I got to cancel, reschedule. He said it'll be rescheduled, whatever. He went out of his way, but people still went nuts. And it's like, gosh, it drives me nuts that these people just chill out. But he's obviously coming at the end of the month, and he's really engaged. And the funny thing is, when he posted it both times, he's reaching out directly to the Hoosier fan base and, hey, light me up. What's up, Hoosier Nation?
I know. It's been interesting to see that, actually. He's put his little ad out both times, and the reactions have been very interesting. And like I said, he's been wanting to take an official to Indiana, and honestly, because you obviously don't announce you're going to go take an official and then, have to say you're going to reschedule it that night unless something comes up. And, we had something come up. And, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like he was just saying, I'm canceling the visit because I don't want to come.
Yeah. So he'll be here. Now, he's scheduled to visit Michigan, I think, as well. And I thought it was that weekend, but it might be the weekend before.
Yeah, I think he's probably, I want to say he's going to go to Michigan next weekend and then Indiana the following weekend.
Perfect. And then, of course, and there's something else that I talked about yesterday. I mentioned, actually, as I was posting this on social media. I don't see Lester Quinones as a one and done, but I definitely see him as someone who has the talent and definitely he has the desire. He wants to get to the next level, to the NBA. And something that I said was that, Memphis is one of the teams that is recruiting him very hard. Of course, Penny Hardaway down there. And Archie Miller has not sent a single player to the NBA in his 9 years of coaching at the Division I level. And I think that's something that these kids look at. They want to know that there's a path to get there. And I think that that's something they definitely pay close attention to. And someone said, well, how many players has Penny Hardaway sent? Well, he's been coaching for 1 year, but he was a 2-time All-American and a 4-time NBA All-Star. So I think that carries a lot of weight with these kids. And we lost Drew. We're going to get him called back here in a second. But I think we lost the call. But we'll have Justin give him a call back here in a second. But unfortunately, we lost Drew. But I was looking forward to talking to him about that. Hopefully, we'll get him back on here in a minute. But yeah, Lester Quinones, but he's just one of a myriad of players that Indiana is looking at. But he's somebody that they need. He's the 6'5" shooting guard. He's a scorer, man. He's the number 65th rated prospect, and he's just got a lot of upside and a lot of potential. But he's not the only one that they're looking at, not the only one that they need. I talked about Joey Brunk. As well as someone that they're looking at very hard. The dead period ended at noon yesterday, so lots of things going on. Joey Brunk, he's got 2 in-home visits. Trendon Watford is actually on, and Archie was with Christian Lander in Evansville yesterday, talking to him. So that's a visit I'm looking forward to talking to Drew with if we get him back on the line here, because Christian Lander, we talk about him a lot out of the Evansville area, Evansville Rights. We've had his dad on here a couple times talking about it. We'll have him on again as well. But again, that's another prospect, but he's a 2021 class guy, so he's down the road.
Hello?
But we got Drew back now with us. Drew, sorry we lost you there, but yeah, I was talking about the fact that these kids look at that, I think, and so it's something that they pay attention to.
Yeah, it definitely is, and while it's not the end all be all, it's not going to make a direct decision. I just don't think it looks very good when you, as a fan base, obviously there's some knuckleheads in every fan base, but I just don't think it sends a very good message, when the fan base is, lighting the kid up on Twitter. Or maybe, it wasn't the whole fan base, so I'm not going to cast that stone, every single one of them. But there definitely seems to be some knuckleheads amongst the Indiana group here and there. And, I'm sure that way with every fan base. But it's definitely stood out with the Indiana fan base here in the last, 6 months.
And then I was talking about Archie was on a visit yesterday to Christian Lander, the shooter down from Evansville Rights. He was down visiting with him, and I saw that, and Cardell McFarland, the trainer, and all that. But how did that go? Have you heard anything on that, Drew?
Yeah, as they all knew, they went pretty well, and Archie was yesterday being the first day of the non-dead period. The dead period came to an end Wednesday night. So he was out seeing some recruits, and he went out to see, Christian Lander is obviously a major priority, and making him, kind of feel that, and he went down there, and that went well, and he also went to see Joey Brunk yesterday as well, and that was a good sign to see that as well, and. With Archie being out on the first day, he went to go see some guys that were, high priority guys, and it was a good first day for him in the live period on the trail.
And I don't know if I got back to that point that I was making about the kids looking at the NBA stuff. How much do you think that carries for a kid that like Lester Quinones? He's not an Indiana kid as far as high school wise, so he doesn't have that connection to Indiana. He's going to be different, and I think that there's a lot of different pulls for these guys. And Penny Hardaway is an attraction to these guys right now because he's fresh into the league. He hasn't shown whether he can or cannot coach, so they really can't look at that. But what they do look at is the fact that he's a 2-time All-American and a 4-time NBA All-Star.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's almost a big-time benefit when you're a coach and you don't really have a resume to be graded off of, because people are probably going to give you the benefit of the doubt whether you can develop and you can coach or not. And Penny's obviously a marquee name, and he's a name that kids see and it's an ooh and ah type thing, because Penny was a pretty big deal in the NBA and had a heck of a career, and that resonates with those guys really well. And like I said, the less they have to grade you off of, I almost feel like that's even better, honestly.
Well, it's an advantage for them, obviously. But how much weight do you think these kids put into that? The kids like Lester Quinones, who's not an Indiana kid, he probably wants to get to the league, but he's not a one and done. How much bearing do you think that's put on there? The fact that, and I'm not saying it's as a bad thing, but it's just a fact. Archie has not sent anybody to the league yet. So that's got to be something that they think about.
It's something we've thought about a little bit, but, it's just more of a selling point more than, a deciding factor. It's more of a selling point for a school like, for example, like you said, Memphis with Penny Hardaway. They can say, hey, I played in the NBA, I had a great career. I can get you there. I know what it takes. And then you got a guy like Mike Miller as assistant, who obviously won titles in the NBA and had a very nice career of himself. And, they can just sell that, we know what it takes. We've been there. We've done that whole thing. But, some guys like Quinones, that's obviously going to, catch their eye a little bit. But I don't think that's going to be enough for someone to say, hey, I'm coming here just because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you can never tell what's going on in the mind of an 18-year-old kid as well. So who knows with that. Mm-hmm. Then there's a lot of other things that the guys, options for them out there. It's not just these couple that we've talked about here. There's other guards out there that they're looking at, that they're hoping to land right now. What do you see as Indiana's best options right now?
Yeah, they're obviously going after Quinones and, Beverly and Harlan Beverly. And Harlan's got a couple schools in mind right now, Georgia, Baylor as well. And then there's been some new schools that have reached out. St. John's can get involved. It just depends what happens there with the coach situation. And then also Alabama with Nate Oates from Buffalo coming down. That's a school that will probably get involved, and that'll be one to watch there to see what happens with Harlan, and also Jalen Wyndham from Ben Davis, who was committed to Georgia State. Ron Hunter left Georgia State, took the Tulane job, so now Jalen is open. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jalen. I think those are kind of the three guards they're looking at. Maybe a grad transfer will pop up. I'm not sure on that. Obviously things could develop there with the transfer market, as it's kind of a, moving parts there. But, we'll have to see what happens with those three guards, see what happens on Quinones with his official visit, see if that moves the needle any. But I think those are the three guys to watch, so to speak.
And another thing that's just kind of off the subject a little bit, but the success Tom Crean is having, I mean, he landed a great recruit, but he's got a lot of people that are listing Georgia as schools that they're looking at. And I got to tell you, it boggles my mind. I'm surprised that he's having that recruiting success that he seems to be having right now, but he is.
I know. It doesn't necessarily surprise me that what's happening early on, because like you said, the whole resume thing when you're at your current school, people have less to grade you off of. I guess, but
he's a known coach. I mean, he was in Indiana for 9 years, so he's got a long list of things for people to look at. And that's the thing that I guess that amazes me is that's why he was fired from Indiana, is because he couldn't recruit Indiana to state. But yet he's having recruiting success right now for Georgia.
Right. I think it's like not necessarily a lack of a resume, but a lack of a resume. Georgia to grade him off of, and the whole new factor. People get a little caught up in that sometimes, and he's also really hit hard with the whole Victor Oladipo, Dwayne Wade thing, and that resonates with some guys, and it's been interesting, But I guess my thing that I want to see with him is, will he be able to continue this and sustain this over time? That's where I want to see if he's able to, continue that and not wear guys out over a period of time. I think that's where you need to watch with him.
We'll certainly find out for that. Indiana now has to put 9 new faces, Drew. That's a lot of new guys to have on a roster, and that's exactly what Archie's going to have to work with next year, which I know part of that's a good thing because a roster overhaul was definitely needed. But that's a lot of new faces to implement into Archie's system. Right. You think make 9 new faces, so to speak, but maybe 5 guys that are going to actually have a chance to play. I believe that if they use it around, obviously with Trace and Armand coming in, and then likely, 2 or 3 more guys, so probably 5, contributors coming in. Maybe 4. They decide to bank a scholarship. We'll see what they do with that. But it's a big way to change culture, and I know that was a thing that I feel like was evident to people. Maybe some guys all in and or whatnot last year, but bringing in your guys as a coach, you get to build culture, you get to find the guys that you want, the attitudes that you want, and I think that's just almost as big of a deal as anything. It's just setting the tone and building the culture that you'd like to build. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt to that. And again, people that don't understand that and having the time to do the things that you need to do, because it is a completely different setup and a completely different scheme. The players that were already there, they were recruited obviously by Tom Crean to play a different way, a different style. And that's why they were recruited. And that's why they want their own guys, because they play a different style, and then they want guys that they see can play that way. But until you're able to do that, Mike Schumann wrote a great little piece the other day about showing Tony Bennett, his first 2 years, he was 500. He missed the tournament both of those years, and then things started to improve. And it's just case after case. John Beilein, Mike Krzyzewski, you can go down the line. But people are just so impatient with this, and it's just unless you have a roster packed full of talent, and I'm sorry, but Indiana did not have that. Archie did not inherit the greatest of ingredients, right? And so he's got to recalculate what he has, and he's trying to do that right now. But I don't understand why people can't grasp that. Right. I believe I did some research on John Beilein's first 4 years. I remember writing an article midway through the season. I want to say John Beilein might have been 500 or just a little better than that through his first 4 years, and obviously the rest, kind of played itself out. And he's became one of the best coaches in the game and made it to 2 title games. And I think that shows you that you can't judge a book by its cover, so to speak. You can't make it a decision based off what you see in 4 years. And I think that's what these university presidents and athletic directors need to have a better understanding of is, you can't just fire a guy because you don't like what's happening in years 2, 3, and 4, because you got to stick with the process. You got to let it play out. You got to let your coach build his culture, get his guys in, build his roster the way he wants, and that takes time. And I don't think a lot of those guys across the country really have a good understanding for that. But it's something that I think would help consistency and stability if there were to be more stock put into that. And like you said with Archie, he didn't inherit a great roster. He had some pieces here and there, but it wasn't complete. For every Clifton Moore you inherit it. There's an out there. I'm few and far between. It's all in, and is a piece that is going to be a part of Indiana moving forward, and a piece that is really really well liked by the new staff. And I think that's something that gets lost by a lot of people. Is there's bits and pieces, but it's not complete. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Drew Davis, Peaks.com. Can't thank you enough, man. Look forward to talking to you again on Monday and see if anything happens over the weekend.
All right, man. Sounds good. I look forward to talking to you first thing Monday.
Thank you, sir. Drew Davis from Peaks.com joining us. Stay tuned. We've got Todd Leary coming up next. We'll be back with more on Indiana Sports Beat.
How do I feel by the end of the day? Are you sad because you're on your own? No, I get by with a little help from my friends. Get high with a little help from my friends.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Friday. Lots going on this weekend. A busy weekend in Indiana. Little 500 starts for the women today at 4 o'clock. Their race that takes place at Armstrong Stadium, where the men's soccer team.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice message.
Both soccer teams play, actually. But I think we have Todd Leary with us now.
We do not.
We do not. All right. Still trying to get Todd with us here. But then tonight at 7 at Memorial Stadium, the spring football game will take place. So you got all that going on. But before that, they have a clinic at 5 o'clock for the kids. So if you have the ability to get up there and you got some kids, you can do the clinic with them on the field at 5. You'll be actually getting to meet with the coaches and all of that stuff. So that'll be fun. And then the baseball team's got a 4-game series with Evansville this weekend. They're down there tonight. So those of you listening on the ref there in Evansville, you got IU baseball team coming in there. Actually, a lot of stuff going on there. Christian Lander had a visit from Archie Miller yesterday. Christian Lander, of course, from Evansville Wrights.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
So you got that, and then a doubleheader tomorrow for the baseball program, and I think the women's going on all weekend, and Little 500, the men's race tomorrow. I don't know what time that starts. It's probably around 12 or 1. 2
o'clock.
And the weather's supposed to be good, so I think everything's going to clear out. I think the rain is kind of ending about right now. It looks to have left as I look at the radar. It kind of looked like it's gone. So the rest of the day is going to be good. This evening will be good for the game. So there should not be a problem with weather this weekend. And temperatures are going to get back down a little bit, but hopefully we can get back to spring, man. It's golf. Want to play some golf because coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, got to play some golf. Talk about it. We do have the Masters going on, but I'm not a master.
Let's be honest. The temperatures are going to be like 60 degrees. It's a far cry from what we had this winter. So still going to be a great weekend in Bloomington. Take it in. If you've got an opportunity to go up there, certainly do so. Or down there.
Earlier when I did my little impersonation of you and or whoever, somebody posting out, Joker texted in. He really seemed to enjoy that. Said that was a great Wildcat fan impersonation, which I thought it was better Justin impersonation personally.
Wow.
But yeah, lots going on this weekend. So if you're looking for something to do, there's no less of things to get to. But the football spring game, you're not going to get to see as much as we had hoped as far from the quarterbacks. Obviously, Michael Penix still dealing with a knee injury. He is going to play. He'll be throwing the ball, so you're going to get to see what he can do with that cannon that he's got coming out of his shoulder. But unfortunately, Jack Tuttle has an illness, and he's been out all week and will not be available for the game tonight either. Therefore, Peyton Ramsey will be
call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 31769559542 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Little technical difficulties here on Indiana Sports Beat. Let me see if I can't get Jim back on the line here. Seems as we lost him there, but we'll get him right back. But certainly a big weekend coming up in Bloomington, as he was saying. Go out, check it out. Football, you got Little 5. Jim, we got you back?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. Cool.
What'd you do?
I'm not sure what happened.
Where'd you go?
Technology.
Technology, smechnology.
That's all I got to say.
And so there's a lot going on. We talked about recruiting. There's a ton going on there, man. Behind the scenes, the dead period is over. So Archie Miller is out doing visits. He met with Christian Lander, like we said, in Evansville. Christian Lander, a 5-star from Evansville Rights. He'll be a junior. He's in the 2021 class. Of course, they're looking at some grad transfers. They also met with Joey Brunk yesterday. Joey Brunk has already been on a visit to Indiana. So hopefully Joey Brunk, he's got to go through his process. And then they've got some freshmen that they're trying to get in here, of course. Luis Quinones is probably the highest priority of those. A shooting guard, a number 2. He can really put the ball. He's a good shooter. Then you've got Harlan Beverly, who's a combo guard, but more probably a point guard, and would be great to have him under Rob Finney because they don't have another point guard. They've got one point guard right now. For all practical purposes. I mean, Al Durham can slide over there and Devontae can slide over there, but that's not their position, and it's not what they play. And so Archie's got to get to the point to where he has guys that play the position in those positions, and that's what he's trying to get to. And it's something he's trying to rectify with this big class that could potentially large class that could be coming in next year with 9 new faces.
Juwan Morgan is a perfect example of that type of player, like you're saying. I mean, he was forced to play the 5 this year when, in all reality, he would have been better suited as the 4, maybe even the 3 at times. But yeah, so Archie does have to get his players in, the guys that do play those positions, and stop playing so many guys out of position. I think that ultimately goes a long way to help this team, in my opinion.
Well, we'll certainly see. Tim hit us up on the text line. We got him back. Awesome. Glad to have you guys along with us. We appreciate you coming here to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Like or follow us on Facebook because you can catch us live each Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. on the dailyhoosier.com, indianasportsbeat.com, or thegrowingtruth.net. Soon we're going to have a mobile app. I can't wait till that thing gets finished to make it a lot easier for people. But you can find us any place you find the rebroadcast. You can find it any place you find a podcast. We're there as well. But looking forward to this weekend, man. I have not been to the Little 5, and I'm not sure I'm going to get to make it, but I'm trying to. But it has been so long since I have been to a Little 500 race. That would be probably fun just to see. Justin, have you seen the movie Breaking Away? You said you've seen it several times.
Yes, I've seen Breaking Away.
And you made it to the race, a couple times, but you were working?
I was working, yeah. So I never went as like a fan to enjoy it, but I still enjoyed it when I was working. I mean, I had to periodically walk up and down the stairs. So basically I was there watching it.
And again, if you're not familiar with it, it's built around the premise. We had Chuck Crabb on yesterday talking about it. It's just the pageantry is pretty cool, but it's based on the premise of the Indianapolis 500. They have, the same amount of riders as you do cars, but these are teams of 4 people, and it's a relay race of sorts over the course of takes about 2 hours for the men's race. So they're going nonstop hard for 2 hours around that track. That it's a lot more fun than you would imagine. There's a lot of intrigue goes on. Those switches, man, it can really heat up. And like Chuck said, there's some points in the middle that there's a lull, but man, when they start making those exchanges and the race really starts coming down, things kick up. And the intensity definitely kicks in.
And for all the NASCAR fans out there that are like my mom and just watch the races for the wrecks, you will get wrecks in Little 500 as well. They're a little more gruesome because they're on bikes, but you'll get some wrecks. So it's certainly a lot of excitement in both races.
Yeah, when these guys hit the ground, man, they're hitting. This is not a cushion track. It's the old style track. Yep. This is they got the rollers out there. They've been pounding it down, getting it down a little firmer. But yeah, this is the old school, man. And when they go down, it ain't fun, but it definitely happens. And it happens every year, and it always does. It's like you can't seem to stop it. But we'll see. But a lot going on in the football game tonight. I hope that I hope the fans get to come out and enjoy it. There's a lot going on that they're going to try to do with it to make it fun, even though they don't have the full complement of quarterbacks. But it has seemed to be the course for a lot of teams around the country. Some teams have canceled. There was one team that canceled its spring game because of injuries. You've got another team that's having to make the same kind of adjustments because of injuries, like Indiana's doing. They have one quarterback that is completely active, and it's Peyton Ramsey. Michael Penix still dealing with his knee injury. He will play where he can throw the ball and whatnot, but you're not going to see him running and things like that. And then, of course, Jack Tuttle, he recently received his confirmed waiver from the NCAA of his eligibility to play, but unfortunately he got sick. He's been out for about a week, and he will miss the game tonight. But there's going to be a lot of other things looking forward to seeing, too. I'm looking forward to seeing the defense because they have really, really been playing well this spring.
Yeah, and there's certainly the area that's most expected to improve on this football team, other than maybe the quarterback position, which it's not hard to beat what you got last year in terms of production from the quarterback. But we've talked about it. Ramsey did his job. He got the job done, but not in the way that Indiana fans would like to see. But yeah, the defense is going to be fun to watch. And I heard, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I remember Tom Allen saying that Penix was only going to play in the 7-on-7 situations that'll take place, I guess, during timeouts.
Yeah, that sounds about right because he's out there, and like I said, they have to keep that situation completely controlled. Right. Tom Crean was at Dwayne Wade's final game. His former coach at Marquette visited him, so making a big splash there.
Hell of a final game it was, triple-double.
I'm telling you, man, how many people can do that? That's incredible in the NBA to get a triple-double, period. And to get one on your final game of your career.
Well, and then Dirk Nowitzki the same night, he dropped 30 in his final game in the NBA. So not a triple-double, but to drop 30 points, still pretty impressive from the big fella.
Absolutely. And also Steve Alford, finally confirmed as Nevada's basketball coach. The team announced yesterday. Alford, who was fired by UCLA around December 31st, he replaces Eric Musselman, who left earlier in the week. He's now the head coach at Arkansas. Musselman led Nevada to 3 NCAA tournaments in 4 seasons. I talk about this all the time. Steve Alford, great guy, super great guy. But in 28 years as a Division I head coach, he's been to, I think, 5 Sweet 16s. That's his ceiling. The Sweet 16 in nearly 3 decades of coaching, the ceiling is the Sweet 16. That's got to be something these people look at. And especially Nevada is like, I hate to call them a mid-major, but maybe that's what they are. But they've been successful. Musselman obviously did a good job there. It's why he's now at Arkansas in the SEC. But they feel that there is no better coach than Steve Alford to continue the rise of Nevada basketball. They're all excited for that chapter. So we'll see how that goes. Wish him luck. I think he's definitely going to have a lot more success there at a place like that. Like when he was at New Mexico, it's a little under the radar, and I think he thrives a little bit better in that situation. He handles them all well. He's got such an easygoing demeanor that he can handle any situation.
Yeah, and to be quite frank with you, there is less pressure to compete and be good at those levels because there is no pressure. I mean, you're at a Nevada, you're at a New Mexico, wherever, what have you. Those fans don't expect much. Now, Nevada fans, the last couple of years, their opinions may have been swayed a little bit in the other direction and think that they could have a great basketball program. But that's still, I don't see it as a program on the rise. I think they've just lost their 2 best players.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly find out the opportunity, but I think it's a good location. It's for like sure. You said, out from under the spotlight of a ton of pressure to win. I think obviously that makes it a lot easier. It's a lot less stressful. But we'll see what he can do. Like I said, I wish him the best. I hope he can have success there. He's a super great guy. We had him on here before, and I wish him the absolute best. So we'll see how that turns out for him. But a lot of changes, man, in the coaching world this season, off season as always. Like I said, Eric Musselman left Nevada to go there. UCLA finally got their guy, and Mick Cronin at Cincinnati. Now Cincinnati's got to do the same thing. So just so many different changes, faces, and places in different places. College basketball is I'm not going to say it's at its zenith right now, but man, this tournament that we just ended up with, what an incredible way to end the season. It was incredible, and hopefully they can follow it up next year. And I don't know how much better it can be, but hopefully they can maintain that and keep it there. Hey, make sure you tune in next week. We'll be back with a complete week of great guests. So make sure you tune in on Monday. We're live 6 to 8. You can catch us, of course, on IndianaSportsBeat.com, TheDailyHoosier.com, or TheGrowingTruth.net. At all times, at any time, you can replay it. You can find the show on as a podcast for the rebroadcast. And a myriad of places, any place you find a podcast, like Spotify, Google Play, Apple Play, iHeartRadio, all of those lovely places. I want to thank our great sponsors. Look forward to heading to Bubba's for lunch. I can't wait. Dr. J and should be there. Roger ought to be there. Looking forward to seeing the guys. We appreciate everybody. Hope you all have had a great week. And looking forward to a great weekend, guys. Hope you do as well.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up. I'm Jim Coyle, and I'll see you on the radio.